What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today on the channel a combo tutorial and test hand video for the update to my Mutant Ghoti deck list that I posted on my channel a little over a week ago now. I do want to apologize for the lack of content. My girlfriend and I recently celebrated our anniversary and we took a small vacation. So obviously I wasn't really doing anything Yu-Gi-Oh related, which explains the lapse in content on my channel as far as uploads are concerned. But we're back now and I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. And I wanted to lead the charge with the test hand and combos for my Mutant Ghoti deck list. Now, I'm going to leave a link down in the description below for the deck profile. If you haven't watched the profile, I highly encourage you to do that first. But one thing I do want to say is that I did make a very minor main deck change. We cut the Called by the Grave in the main deck for a copy of this card, which I actually forgot existed. This card, called Sword Soul Punishment, came out in the Cyberstorm Access, the most recent core set. And this card reads as follows. If you control a synchro monster, target a card in the field or in either graveyard, banish it. Then if your opponent controls a ritual, fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link monster, you can banish a synchro monster from your graveyard to add this card from the graveyard to your hand. Now, I bought several boxes of Cyberstorm Access and pulled quite a bit of this card, to be honest. And I completely forgot it existed until I was looking through my bulk the other day and realized that this card is very good for this deck specifically. Both the on-field and graveyard effects are very relevant, and I decided to add the card in the main deck as a one-of, just to give the deck some additional removal outside of its monsters, which is nice. So I'm opting to main deck one copy and side deck one. So that's the only deck change that I made. Again, I cut the Called by the Grave in the main deck to fit this card. The reason why I cut Called by specifically is because I figured it's just a non-searchable card for another non-searchable card, so it doesn't really hurt the deck's consistency as far as, you know, cutting like ratios of monsters and whatnot. So that's the only thing I wanted to mention that changed from the original profile. But outside of that, the deck is still 40 cards, and that, like I said, is the only actual change. But anyway, sorry about that long explanation, but just wanted to preface that in case those of you who are watching the profile realize, you know, hey, this card wasn't in the deck. Anyway, for those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If those are things that you like to see, you know, the oddball stuff on, you know, within the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel so that way you don't miss out on any of my cool uploads that I do pretty much weekly. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't done that already. I'm working my way up to 1,000 subscribers, and I cannot get there without your help. So again, you know, subscribing definitely shows me that you guys want to continue seeing this community grow and continue seeing the cool videos that I bring to you guys. So with that being said, we're going to dive in to a couple of 1 to 2 card combos for this deck. And then once we're done with the combos, we'll do some test hands. That way you guys can get an idea of what the deck plays like. So with that being said, like I said, watch the deck profile, link in the description below if you haven't seen it already. And we're going to dive right in. So we're going to start things off with a simple 2-card combo using Paces and a copy of Emergency Teleport. Now, Paces can also be substituted for Shift, Fairy of the Ghoti. Either or work just fine, but this is a 2-card combo, so we're going to lead things off by activating Emergency Teleport, which allows us to special summon a level 3 or lower Psychic monster from our deck. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and grab Mutant MO5, then trigger the MO5 effect to go ahead and search for a mutant monster from the deck to our hand. Now we can do a couple things here. We can search for Mutant, or we can also search for Mutant ST46. In this particular case, since we don't really have a normal summon, we can search for ST46. That way we can normal summon the card. So then we can go ahead, normal summon ST46, sorry for the glare, trigger the effect to search for a mutant spell and or trap. In which case we're going to go ahead and grab a copy of Mutant Cry. Cry is pretty much a fusion trap, akin to like Trap Brigade Revolt. It fuses by shuffling material that's banished on your graveyard or field back into the deck. So really strong card. So now this is our hand. So now what we can do here is a couple of things. We can go MO5 effect on field, tributing itself, and then banishing a monster from our hand specifically. That way we can go ahead and summon out our Mutant Beast directly from our hand or deck. Now Mutant Beast is a spell negate and banish. In addition to that, it also cannot be targeted by monster effects on a 2400 body, which is pretty good in my opinion. Very strong card overall. So we got that off the MO5 effect. Now what we can do is, there's a couple things here. So we search for Mutant Cry off ST46. Now, we set up the Paces in the banish zone, and whenever the Ghoti tuners are banished, they return to the field on the following standby phase. And if they're summoned during the opponent's turn, they have the ability to quick link during the opponent's turn into a fish synchro. So we already got the pastes banished for cost off the MO5 effect. So we can pass turn, holding the cry in hand. Let's not set it, and I'll explain why momentarily. When the pastes returns, because it's the opponent's turn, again, assuming we went first, the pastes now has the ability to quick synchro during the opponent's turn. Now, ST46 is very nice because that can pretty much be the fuel for a Mutant Beast effect, because when Beast does negate and banish a spell, we do need to banish a card that we control or have in our hand for cost, and ST46 is very suitable for that. So assuming we negate a spell, banish it, whatnot, all we have left is the pastes. Now, what we can do with pastes and Beast is pastes, again, as a quick effect during the opponent's turn, allows us to quick sync into a fish synchro, which could be Ghoti of the Deep Beyond. Now, when Ghoti of the Deep Beyond is actually synchro summoned on the opponent's turn, it banishes all cards on the field. And this is why I mentioned why, in some cases, you might not want to set the Mutant Cry you search, because if you set it, when you make Ghoti of the Deep Beyond, you're going to banish the whole board, and then your Cry gets banished before you get a chance to actually utilize it. So, if you're going to be going for the Ghoti of the Deep Beyond line, I wouldn't recommend setting the copy of Cry. However, if you don't plan on going into the Deep Beyond play, then setting Cry is fine, because then what happens is on the opponent's turn, you can go Mutant Cry, shuffling the appropriate material back from the field, banished, or the graveyard into the deck to go ahead and make your copy of Mutant Synthesis in the extra deck, which upon its fusion summon does target a card on the field and destroy it. So very cool disruption there. Again, that's just a 2-card combo off of an E-Telly and a Ghoti tuner. You basically get access to a spell negate and banish, a quick sync into a synchro monster that banishes all cards on the board, and the potential for a quick a fusion on the opponent's turn into any targeted pop on field. So that's pretty good disruption for the price of just 2 cards. So that's one of the combos I wanted to show you guys. The next combo is actually going to be a 1-card combo, because this deck does have 1-card combos, and we're going to be using a copy of Lifeless Leaffish. So we're going to normal summon Leaffish, activate the effect to send a fish monster directly from our deck to the graveyard, which will be our copy of Schiff, Fairy of the Ghoti. Then we'll go Schiff's graveyard effect to banish itself from grave by targeting a fish we control and make it gain 500 attack to the end of the turn. Now that effect is pretty niche. We don't care about the stat boost. What we do care about is the fact that Schiff is a Ghoti tuner that banishes itself from the graveyard, which means that on the next standby phase, it'll return to the field and then allow us to quick sync during the opponent's turn into a fish synchro. So obviously, we summon Leaffish, dump Schiff, use Schiff's effect, pass turn. The board looks very unassuming, right? But watch how this spirals out of control. Schiff special summons itself in the standby, and then during the opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, we can quick sync into a fish synchro. So at any point, we can chain this, synchro off using Schiff and Leaffish, whose total sum of levels equals 6. So we make an Arion Post here. Arion Post, when synchro summoned, lets us banish a level 6 or lower fish from deck. So now what we can do is we can go Arion Post effect, banish our copy of Zep, Ruby of the Ghoti, assuming I can find it. I probably skimmed over it. Here it is. Banishing the Zep, Ruby of the Ghoti, and then Zep, Ruby of the Ghoti, it's only a 1-of in this deck because unlike Schiff or Paces, it doesn't actually work the way that they do. Zep is very specific in the sense that it has to be banished during the opponent's turn specifically, and when it's banished during the opponent's turn, it immediately special summons itself, and then allows it to quick sync into a fish synchro. It's not great, though, as opposed to Schiff and Paces, because if you banish it on your turn, like off of like the cost of your mutant cards or off of any of your other effects, it doesn't do anything. Like, it only really gains value when banished on the opponent's turn specifically. And in my opinion, that's kind of the card's drawback, in my opinion, and that's why it's not as great as Paces or Schiff, in my opinion, and why it only makes the cut as a 1-of in this deck. But for this particular combo, banishing Zep off Arion Post on the opponent's turn is like chef's kiss. So Zep gets banished off Arion Post, Zep specials itself, and then now you immediately quick sync. Again, mind you, this is all during the opponent's turn. And at this point, you have a couple options. You can go into an Azcan, or you could also make a White Aura Whale. Be mindful of White Aura Whale, because this is a card that can miss timing. So if you're going to do this, you need to make sure that it's an open game state, and you're not like chaining the Zep effect, you know, in response to you know, a ongoing chain link. Otherwise, when White Arrow Whale gets summoned, it will miss timing. But we'll put this down for now. Let's focus on Ascan. If you synchro into Ascan, or I guess Arrow Whale for this matter, because they're both fish synchros, you also have an Ariompost trigger in the graveyard because it was sent to grave as synchro material. So what you can do in the case of Ascan gets, you know, synchro summoned, so you can trigger its effect targeting itself and any other card on the field, banishing them both. And then Ariompost triggers in grave. Ariompost states that when it's sent to grave for synchro material, it can banish any fish from grave to then add a fish from the deck to your hand with an equal or lower level. So we can go Chainlink 1 Ascan, Chainlink 2 Ariompost, banishing the Ariompost from grave, allowing us to search pretty much for a starter for next turn or an extender for next turn in the form of Snopios, Shade of the Ghoti. Then Ascan effect triggers, banishing itself and any card the opponent controls. Mind you, this is all on their turn. And then what we can do now is we can go Ascan's graveyard effect. When it's banished, it can banish any fish from grave to then immediately revive itself. So we can like banish like Shift, for example, and then Ascan comes back. And then we have Snopios in hand for follow-up and a Shift that'll come back on the following standby phase. And again, all that was done off of literally just one leaf fish. One leaf fish. And you got to synchro summon twice on the opponent's turn. You got follow-up plus extension and a target banish of any card on their turn, or on their field, excuse me, off of just a single leaf fish. And that's what I mean how this deck kind of starts to snowball really crazily. And again, like I said, it's just a one-card combo. So that's one example. Or like I said, you can go into a White Arrow Whale play and then just like Raigeki break their field and destroy all attack position monsters they control. But again, Whale does miss timing, so you do have to be mindful of when you're activating this or like how you sequence the Shift. You want to make sure that when you use Shift, it's in an open game state. Because if you're chaining Shift directly to something else, when everything resolves, the Whale, when it gets summoned, will miss timing. So I want to show you guys one more combo before we do the test hands, and that's actually going to be with a copy of the field spell, the most distant deepest depths, and either paces or Shift. It doesn't really matter. So this is another 2-card combo. So what you can do here is you can activate the most distant deepest depths in the field zone, use the effect to banish a fish monster from your hand or graveyard for cost. So in this case, we'll banish the paces from hand, and then the most distant deepest depths allows us to search for a Ghoti monster from deck to our hand. So we can search for Igzeep, for example. Now, Igzeep is unique in the sense that if a fish monster is banished, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Now, even if you're searching the Igzeep off of the effect of the field spell, Igzeep, even though it wasn't in your hand at activation, at resolution, it does realize that a Ghoti, a fish was banished, so it does special summon itself. Interesting ruling, you can definitely look it up. It is 100% correct. So, like, you know, if you banish paces, search Igzeep, Igzeep can special itself in the next chain, which is very cool. So now you can special Igzeep, and you can basically pass. And again, it looks very unassuming, but what happens is, because we banished either paces or Shift off the field spell, on the next standby it comes back, and it allows us to quick sync on the opponent's turn. Now if you notice, Igzeep is also a level 4, which means we can pretty much do the same combo that we did with the leaf fish, but instead we got to it a different way through utilizing the field spells. We can go Igzeep and paces to make Ariompost, Ariompost triggers to then banish the Zep, Zep comes back, and then you make a level 8 synchro and just keep synchro climbing on the opponent's turn, generating a lot of advantage. So that was the other combo that I wanted to show you guys. So now that we got the combos out of the way, let's go ahead and pile shuffle the deck real quick, and we'll do some test hands. That way you guys can actually see what it's like to pilot this deck. If you guys want to see a live duel video of this deck in action, get this video to 20 likes. I'll be conservative. 20 likes, and I will bring you guys a live duel video showcasing Myutant Ghoti in action. But again, hopefully you guys are enjoying this content. I want to thank all of you who have, subscribed to me already and, never miss a beat in watching my videos. It means the world to me, and I do this for you guys. I really enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole, and I like, some of the oddball, out of left field kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy it too. And if you do enjoy it, and like I said, you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it benefits the channel as a whole. So If this is the kind of stuff you guys like, then, you know, definitely subscribe so you don't miss out when I upload anything else. So we're going to go ahead and, this is going to be a going first hand. So we got Most Distant Deepest Depths, Ghoti Chain, Lifeless Leaf Fish, E-Telly, and a copy of Psi Frame Gear Gamma. Like I said, watch the profile before watching this, and I explained there why we play the Gamma. It does come up despite it still being limited. So what we can do here, we have a pretty interesting hand. We can go... How do we want to do this? I guess we can go E-Telly, like in the draw phase, for example. See if they have an Ash. If they do have an Ash, we can punish them so hard with Gamma. It'll be very unexpected, because me being the mad lad that I am, I'm still opting to main deck Gamma despite it being limited. But if they Ash the E-Telly, oh man, we can punish them so hard with the Gamma. It's insane. But anyway, we'll go ahead and grab an MO5 off the E-Telly. Trigger MO5's effect to search for a mutant monster. In which case we can grab... Now, I want to summon the Leaf Fish from my hand as my normal summon, so I don't want to search for ST46. Well, I think what I will search for here is Myutant. So now what I can do here is I can activate the effect of Myutant by special summoning itself to my side of the field. And I can activate the effect of Myutant, which will allow me to banish a mutant monster from my deck, or a mutant card, but all we play is Beast, so we're only going to be banishing monsters because Beast is the only one that we're running in this particular build. So we can banish I guess we can banish an ST46 actually. So banish an ST46 from deck, and that will allow us to go ahead and special summon a mutant beast to our side of the field. Then what we can do is now normal summon our Leaf Fish, activate Lifeless Leaf Fish's effect to go ahead and send a fish monster from our deck to the graveyard, which will be the Shift. Then we'll activate Shift targeting Leaf Fish to increase its attack by 500 while banishing the Shift. And then I guess what we can do is set a copy of Ghoti Chain and pass turn. On the standby phase of the next turn, Shift special summons itself back to field, and now we can quick sync. And we have a lot of different levels on board to quick sync into some pretty cool stuff. So we can go Shift and Leaf Fish into the Aerion Post line that I showcased to you guys in the second combo tutorial. And then that leads into like an Ascan or a White Arrow Whale. We also have fodder to banish for Beast's, spell negation effect, which is pretty nice. We can banish MO5 or Myutant for that. Oh, also, I'm sorry. MO5 shouldn't even be on field. It would be banished off of the E-Telly. Which is fine. I mean, we still have Myutant on board, so for fodder. So my apologies. Again, remember we summoned MO5 off of E-Telly. The card would have been banished at the end phase of that turn. Again, we don't care about it being banished though, because with the Mutant Field spell, we can recover all of these cards, so it doesn't matter. So our end board would actually be Beast, Mutant, Leaf Fish, and Shift. But that still doesn't change what we can, go into as far as synchros are concerned. Shift and Leaf Fish still equal the Aerion Post line. Or if we really need to, we can go Shift and Mutant Beast into the Ghoti of the Deep Beyond and just banish the entire board if needed, which is pretty cool. And then, like I said, we still have the field spell and a Gamma in hand. The cool thing about the Deep Beyond play, if it banishes the entire field, we won't control monsters, which means if the opponent still tries to extend through that, we can cook them with the Gamma we still have, which is pretty nice. So that's one of the combos, or I'm sorry, test hands. Let's go ahead and reshuffle again, and I'll give you guys one more test hand before we wrap things up here. Like I said, hopefully you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel. I've been trying to cook up some pretty cool ideas. I got some things in the pipeline. I'm very excited for the Battles of Legend released at the end of this week. There's a couple of cards in that set that I need to update some strategies that I want to showcase on the channel. Specifically, the update to my Libromancer Mikanko deck that has gained a lot of popularity on my channel. In case you guys are wondering why you haven't seen any more of that deck on the channel, it's because the Banlist hit, and I wanted to make changes to the list, and like I said, we got some pretty cool cards coming in Battles of Legends, so stay tuned for the channel. If you want to see that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out when I upload the deck profile update for that list. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just cut, that way you guys know that I'm not cheating or trying to stack the deck in any way. And this will be another going first hand. Imperm, Snopios, Igzeep, Imperm. Wow. I literally cannot make this up. So, if we were going first, this hand is a little weird. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how many people have drawn triple Imperm, but you just saw it live on camera. Honestly, I don't even know what I'd do. I probably would just hold the monsters in hand, because unfortunately, Igzy by itself doesn't do anything, and Snopios needs another fish to banish in order for him to be proactive as well. So, if I was going first, I would honestly maybe like set an Imperm, and then hold the other two in hand and just pass, potentially. And then see what the opponent does. I mean, if the opponent plays through triple Imperm, then they play through triple Imperm. But let's face it, most decks are probably going to have a pretty hard time playing through triple Imperm like that. So whatever the board they're going to end on probably won't be very good. In which case, we'll draw for the next turn. And we drew into a Paces, but now everything's live. We can go like Snopios, banish Paces and Igzy, special the Snopios. Target something on their field, it gets banished when it leaves. Then on the following turn, Paces comes back, and then we just play it on the crackback. So that was a bit of a weird test hand. Let's do one more, just to make sure like there's no more discrepancies or weird flukes. Like I said, I don't think I've ever drawn triple Imperm like that in any deck that I've played. So that's a sight for sore eyes, I guess you could say. What are the odds of you statistically drawing the entire playset in a 40-card list? I'd like to know what that math actually is, but that was interesting. So anyway, like I said, that's why I feel like a lot of people appreciate my videos for just the raw honesty of it. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't like make clickbaity titles or, lie about, my decks and what they're capable of. Everything's fresh off the cuff, no editing. Just about as real as you can get. So we got Zep, Leaffish, Etelli, Igzeep, and the most distant, deepest depths. This is a very, very cool hand. I think we're going to lead things off by activating a copy of Most Distant, Deepest Depths. We're going to use the effect banishing a Zep, Ruby of the Ghoti, to then search us a copy of Paces. In this case, that'll trigger Igzeep to special itself since the fish was banished. Then what we can do here is we can activate Etelli. Etelli into... You know what? We're going to Etelli into ST46. So Etelli into ST46. ST46 gets the effect of search, in which case we'll grab a copy of Mutant Cry to our hand. Then we'll activate the secondary effect of ST46, tributing itself, banishing a monster from our hand, which will be Paces, and that'll allow us to summon Beast from our hand or deck. So now we have our Spell Negate online. And then, we haven't normal summoned yet. We're going to normal summon Leaffish, use Leaffish's effect to go ahead and dump the copy of Shift. Shift effect in the graveyard, targeting Leaffish, banishing itself, gaining 500. And then we'll hold the Cry in hand, just in case we go for a Deep Beyond play on the opponent's turn. Well, we don't want to lose out on using this. But then on the standby phase of the next turn, both Paces and the Shift come back, allowing us to quick sync into some pretty cool stuff because we have a decent amount of levels to work with. So, like I said, we can go into 6s, we can go into 10s, and then if we go into the 6, which would be Ariompos gets us into an 8 by itself, which is pretty cool. And this is basically how the deck works. And mind you, the opponent still has to play through a Spell Negate and, stuff getting banished over the course of their turn. So that's going to wrap up the combo tutorial and test hand video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like I said, get this video to 20 likes if you guys want to see a live duel showcasing what Mutant Ghoti can do against an actual strategy. And like I said, like the video, subscribe, check out the deck profile and the link in the description if you haven't done so already. Like I said, I'm working my way to 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. Every subscription definitely helps me get to that goal, obviously. And like I said, I can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate all the love and support. This is Nick, signing out.